Good morning and welcome to Monday's Piece for Peace. We have a lot of information again this week to cover, so we're going to go quickly. Before we do, I'm just going to give you three little bits of information, and then we're going to get into the video itself. But hi, it's good to see you. It's been a stormy night, and that is where we're going to start. I'm going to give you this image. I want you to get this image in your head. The storm that we had here in the city of Ottawa was a mix of thunder and lightning and heavy and light rain. It just kept cycling, and every time that you thought it was going to be over, it just cycled back. And interestingly enough, you could actually see it coming from the distance, because last night was a very clear night. You could see far, 70, 80 kilometers in the distance, and you could see the lightning, but you couldn't hear the thunder yet. And every time that you thought the storm during the evening was going to abate and you could get back to sleep, it just came back. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, isn't that what life is like? Which got me to thinking, actually, in the middle of the night about this morning's video. And so where we're going today is to pick up one piece of last week's video, which is about cutting out the high highs and the low lows in the midst of the storm. Last week's video was about the return to school, and you can go find it on my Facebook page or Facebook wall. But somebody wrote me in the middle of all of that, a mother of two children, lives in a great family, connected to a great community, and said, all of this makes sense, but I will admit that sometimes cutting out the high highs and the low lows with trying to work and get the kids back to school is a real challenge. So I thought, in the midst of this storm, why not delve into this? I am going to also during this video make three references or referrals, give kudos to three people that at various times in my 20 years as a minister I have made contact with, and their information is in the comments below. Their first names are Amanda, Sandy, and Ruth, and instead of chewing up some valuable video time telling you about them, I will put their contact information and I'll make reference to them during this video. Okay, so let's get back to the storm. Do you got it? Can you relate? The storm that you can see coming, the storm that you know is coming, the storm that you're hoping won't be as bad as it is, but doesn't start to let up enough for you to catch any rest. Are you feeling that? So today we are going to literally talk about how to, a method towards getting the high highs and the low lows out of your way so that you can exist in this mixed bag of sun and cloud, where the high highs and the low lows are a place where we can respond instead of react. And the question we're going to ask really is, what do you do when there doesn't appear to be any shelter from the storm? Well, the first thing that we need to do in order to move forward is we really need to recognize some really important, or an important fact, is that in this kind of life that we're living now, where the storm comes, goes, but never really goes away, there are two things that we're really processing that are major. We are processing a lot of intellectual information, and we are processing a lot of grief. And that's what creates the storm, right? The two things combined, the processing the information and the processing of the grief, combines to make the storm, and that ends up on your shoulders. Can you relate to that? So the information that we're processing, of course, is what our governments tell us every day. It just seems to change. Where I go to school at St. Paul's University, in a 3-week period, with all the information that they were getting from the health authorities, they went from telling us in the classes that I'm taking that we were not coming to class. Then they told us, no, we made a decision that ethically we need to find a way to bring you in because this is a practicum course, you need to be in class. Then they told us, no, we've now thought about it, and ethically, for your safety, we need to keep you home. And then they told us, okay, now by the way, we're still working on finding a way to keep you at home and bring you to class. And they're all doing their best. So for sure, that creates a stressful situation. And then there's all the grief that we're processing. Lost a job, maybe you've lost a loved one during COVID, maybe you've received some other kinds of bad news, but basically everybody is grieving. The last statistics that I saw was fully 85% of Canadians are undergoing some kind of significant spike in stress. And that's grief, right? That's the result of grief. What you need to do in the midst of all of this, and this is where my friend Amanda, who's a compassion care fatigue specialist, comes in, you need to find a way to rest. And that's a topic for another time, but do even if it's 15, 20 minutes, and understand that it is physical rest and it is mental rest. And it's very important to find that rest before you make any big decisions. The image that Amanda gave me when I went to talk to her about the storms that I was navigating many years ago, and why was I always so tired and why was I always so stressed, she goes, if you don't rest, it's like trying to wipe your hands with a dirty towel. You think you're cleaning them, but all you're doing is you're spreading the dirt around. So I know that finding rest is not easy, but you can't bypass it any more than you can bypass the storm. The next thing that I'm going to suggest once you've rested is that you seriously contemplate starting a spiritual practice of some kind. In another video I talked about fasting, we talk about prayer here because of course I'm a Christian pastor, but it doesn't have to be those kinds of things. It could be taking walks, it could be cooking, it could be gardening, it could be exercising, it could be playing sports, watching movies, reading, doesn't matter. The point is that a spiritual practice is not just something to check out. It's a time when you are going to be really intentional about accepting what is coming, that the storm is coming, you've accepted it, so that you can remain committed to changing your behavior from reaction to response. My friend Sandy, and you can get her information based on her research, believes quite strongly, and I agree with her, that if you're going to change your behavior, it's no longer now about coping mechanisms. It's about a commitment over the long term, like 100 days plus. She runs something called the 100-Day Promise, and so your spiritual practice helps you accept and commit. And within that spiritual practice, what is it you're actually looking to do? And this is where my friend Ruth comes in, and this is the kind of work that I've been doing with her with my leadership work, is that within the spiritual practice, what you're really doing is you're reframing and you're repositioning your challenge in your life. Like you're taking a step back from it within the storm. And that means that what's happening is you're relating to your challenges rather than identifying with them. You ever heard the expression from a cancer survivor or an abuse survivor, I am not my cancer, I am not my victimhood? You may be someone who has been struck with cancer. You may be somebody who has been a victim of abuse, but you are not the disease and you are not the victimhood. It's that exactly that the reframing, and it's an energetic thing because emotions and thoughts, when they combine to create storms, run through us like thunder and lightning if they're not under control. Nobody is saying that this is easy. I was talking to somebody here in town, my city council person, Riley Brockington, who's connected to the city planning committee. In the city of Ottawa, they're using the image of that we are now in the marathon stage of COVID in order to get the economy in our city moving and get kids back to school and parents back working and daycares open. It's a marathon. It requires real behavioral change. And so in the midst of the storm, this is really about making sure that you rest, making sure that you accept and commit, making sure that you reposition yourself energetically in the midst of all of this. So in the 30 seconds or so that are left, I'd like to bring us back to a centered place. Because right now we're sitting in the eye of a storm that just passed. And there's another one we know that's going to come. So with your feet firmly planted in the ground and your palms held outwards, understand that everybody who's watched this video is connecting with everybody else in some way. We're not alone in this, people. If everybody continues to encourage everybody, we will, because we must, change our behavior because of the way that we center ourselves spiritually. Be blessed. Be a blessing. You got this.